Today, we're going to talk about specific manifesting and non-specific manifesting. And I'm going to help you figure out which one feels more aligned for you. If you lean more towards being a specific manifester or if you lean more towards being a non-specific manifester. If I know anything about manifestation, it is that there is no one size fits all approach for everyone. There's not like a one way to manifest that's going to work for every human on the planet. Just like anything, right? Just like health, just like business, just like healing. It's going to be unique for each individual person. And the opportunity is really to learn more about yourself, to try different things on, to see what lands for you, what feels in alignment for you, what feels like relief for you, what gives you energy, and to lean into those things so that you can create your own unique manifestation method. And I like to teach lots of different things and understand a lot of different ways to manifest and teach those so that you have the opportunity to try different things on and get to know yourself better, get to know your energy better, your mind better, and understand your patterns better so that you can manifest and find your unique manifestation process. So one of the things that can be really helpful is understanding if you are more of a specific manifester or a non-specific manifester, or if you can use a little bit of both. A lot of people kind of lean in and out and use both. Now, I first learned about these terms through human design because in our human design chart, it actually tells us whether we are a specific manifester or a non-specific manifester. And I'll tell you later in the episode where to find that in your chart if you have pulled your chart and if you are into human design. If you're not, totally fine. I'm also going to go through some questions that you can ask yourself so that you can understand which one feels better for you, which one feels more in alignment for you, so that you can kind of go all in on that one for a while and see how it works for you, right? This is always a process of play. Manifesting is truly like a game. So it's supposed to be light, it's supposed to be playful, it's supposed to be fun, and hold it like an experiment. Try it out for a little bit and see how it works for you. All right? Okay, so what does it mean to be a specific manifester and what does it mean to be a non-specific manifester? So a specific manifester is going to be someone who tends to get really lit up and feel really alive thinking of the specific details that you are manifesting, like getting really specific, really super crystal clear about what you're manifesting and about the specifics of it. And really the reason for going to the specifics isn't because we're attached to those specifics. It's just because people who are specific manifestors get lit up by those specifics. And as we know with manifestation, it's all about the emotion that it's generating for you. So if you're someone who visualizes specifics and gets really lit up, the lit up is what's helping you manifest. It's not necessarily just seeing the specifics. It's all about how it makes you feel. And my husband actually happens to be a super specific manifester. And I've asked him and we talk about our process and stuff like that all the time. So I'm going to walk you through what that looks like being a super specific manifester and how that works for him. Versus me, actually I lean more into non-specific manifester. That's what's in my human design chart. It's also intuitively what feels right to me. It's when I feel best. It's when I actually feel most lit up. And it's not that I don't clearly define my goals. It's not that I don't clearly define where I'm headed and what I'm intending and what I want to create and plug that into the GPS system of the universe and declare what I want. But here's the thing is I don't necessarily see every little detail of it, right? I just can't. Like I feel like if I'm doing that, I'm trying to force it, right? That's what it feels like in my brain. So I don't get lit up by seeing every single detail of the thing. Now, I will say there's a caveat there for me specifically is once in a while something will drop in, like a visual or a knowing will drop in that is very specific. And in that case, I will see it, but I would say more often than not, I am just manifesting a little bit more of the feeling of what I want, right? I'm a little more general of like, I'll walk you through it. But that's kind of what I mean whenever I say you're more of a non-specific manifester. You don't see every single detail of what it is. Maybe it's more of the feeling that you want to generate in your life. Maybe it's more of just like a very broad overview of what you want and what you see. And like I said, I'm going to walk you through specifically kind of my process for manifesting as a non-specific manifester so that you can kind of feel into which one resonates with you more, right? So let me go through and I'm going to walk you through exactly what it looks like for both of us, since what's fun is that, like I said, my husband does happen to be a very specific manifester. So I asked him about his manifestation process because he visualizes every day. He says, I'm going to go manifest. And whenever he says, I'm going to go manifest, what he does is he closes his eyes and he visualizes the things that he's calling in, but in a way that's so specific. So I asked him, I said, well, what do you actually visualize when you're doing it, right? And my husband is a songwriter, composer. He's creating an album. He has a couple of albums out. He's in the process of recording one right now. And he is really growing his, business, his career as an artist. His intention is really to create impact through his music. So he has his main kind of why, his purpose and his intention. But when he's manifesting, he takes that intention and for him, he sees total specifics, right? So he said he'll whenever he closes his eyes to manifest, he visualizes the exact stage he's on. Like he thinks about exactly which stage. Oh, this stage in, I don't know, Amsterdam, for example. And, maybe he's been there before. He's seen images of it and he visualizes himself on that exact stage and looks down and sees the exact wood that it has and thinks about the exact piano that he is playing and what it feels like and the color of it, the exact model of it. He visualizes what he's wearing that day as he's performing. He sees the audience. He visualizes who's in the audience. He even said he'll visualize himself beforehand being backstage and what he's thinking and how he's preparing for the show. So you can see he gets very, very, very specific, right? Down to what are the shoes that I'm going to be wearing? In fact, we even went to a neoclassical concert last night with one of his favorite artists. And the reason that we went, first of all, he loves the artist, but he said it's a manifestation process for me. It's part of my manifestation technique because I want to get ideas, right? I want to go there and I want to see how he does it. And I want to see I want to use that to create visuals and images of what I want to call in. Not because he wants to mimic this person's career, but he wants to see what are the elements of it that I like. And even afterwards, he was like, I love that fog machine, right? I can see myself having a fog machine. Or he said, oh, I'd love to do visual images behind my music that is like this. And he gets specific ideas by going to these shows. So he uses it as a manifestation practice and really sees himself on stage, on that stage, right? So he is very, very specific. He also said he'll see himself getting a call from a certain person giving him an exact news, right? Or seeing himself win a very specific award and what he's wearing and what he's saying whenever he's winning that award. So he gets really super detailed down to what the temperature is in the room and how it feels. And that's what he goes into when he's visualizing. And he said, and it's not that I'm attached to that. He said, the only reason I do it is I use those visuals and those details because they light me up. They get me excited about it. And when I get excited, I go in there and write a song, or I go in there and create, and it inspires me to go and edit that piece, right? So it's what moves him. And that's really what this is about for everyone listening. It's not about being perfect at it. It's just hey, what moves you? What inspires you? What way of manifesting pulls you forward and drives you and pulls you into doing the work that you're meant to do in the world? For him, it's seeing those details that lights him up so much. And he said, I always say at the end of it, this or something even better for the highest good of all concerned, right? But for him, it's just that specificity gets him excited versus me, who tends to be more non-specific. I don't know if it's like my brain in the way that like I have visualized, because I get a little bit of ADD. And if I started getting into all of those details, my mind would go somewhere else. I'd get bored. I'd run off to something else. I'd start thinking of something else. It just doesn't work for me to get that detailed. If I told my brain to do it, I'd probably be distracted within like 3 minutes. I couldn't sit there and do a whole super long visualization, most likely, unless it was like something guided and I was totally in the zone. But for me, I tend to be more specific. So what that looks like is I also, like my husband Josh, have a main intention. So I also have an intention that I kind of start with, and that's always helpful because for all of you listening, intention is everything. Setting intentions before doing something makes all the difference. It's kind of like tapping into the purpose or the why behind it. And I find that when we have intention, there's so much energy that's already infused into what we're creating. That's what I think of intention as, is infusing a certain energy into what we do on a daily basis. So my intention is always to be a force for good, for kindness, for inspiration and upliftment, and to support people and to support my clients, and really to open the door to what's possible for others. That's the energy that I like to infuse into what I'm doing in the world and the work that I'm doing in the world, right? But whenever it comes to manifestation, what works for me is much more general. I love the prayer, God, use me. Just God, use me in whatever way you see best fit, in whatever way it's going to have the most impact and help the most people, and whatever way it's going to align with my values and align with my spirit and my soul and what I'm here to do. Use me and guide me. It feels a lot more surrendered, right? Like I said, I will absolutely have specific goals, right? But it won't be as specific as Josh's, right? I'm not going to be like thinking about the exact piano that I'm playing, or I won't be, I don't play piano, but I won't be thinking about the exact computer that's going to be in front of me as I'm giving a webinar, right? I don't get specific in that way. Mine is more of an overview of the impact that I want to make in the world, right? So for example, like I have a vision board, and if you're watching the podcast on YouTube, you can see my most recent, I created this one about a year ago, so I need an update, but I have a lot of different like sayings on there and a lot of different feelings. So for example, I have, it says, changing the way people see, create, use, and understand money forever. Right? That's on my vision board. It's like, it's an intention. So this is my goal, changing the way people see, create, use, and understand money forever. I have another one that says, my clients are having amazing success, manifesting a life beyond their wildest dreams. I have another one that says, helping thousands of clients make their dreams come true. Another one that says, podcasting is so much fun. So it's these little messages, it's these little, it's kind of like intentions that I'm putting out into the world, and I just put them in little mantras. And those are kind of like my guiding, my North Star, I guess you could say. And that's how I kind of set my goals, is from that place. So I focus more on the impact that I want to have in the world in a more general way. What I feel called to do, I always think like, what did I come here to do? It's while it's specific, it's more general. I'm not thinking of the details of exactly how that's going to happen. And that way I like to leave it up to the universe to surprise me, right? I'm like, God, use me. And then whenever I get ideas, a lot of times whenever I say, God, use me, and I really surrender it, an idea will drop in, right? It'll be like, ooh, create this thing. And it will be a specific idea. It will be create this, whatever it is, challenge, create the money manifestation movement. That one was a calling that it just felt so clear, right? Create this course, create this coaching program. So I'll get ideas that drop in. And then the work for me is just to follow those. And once I do have them drop in, it is more specific. So I can see it and I kind of set a goal around that, right? And I'll break that down and work on that all throughout the month or through the week or whatever it is. So that's kind of my way of doing things as a non-specific manifester. And whenever it comes to money, I am specific. I'm a non-specific manifester in that I don't have to think of every single detail. I don't, visualize the exact account that the money's in like my husband does. He actually visually sees the account and looks at it and sees a visual of how much money's in there. I don't do that. I just write down in my journal, this is the amount of money, right? I think about my lifestyle that I want. I think about the experiences that I want to have. And I think, okay, what kind of money do I want to be making to have that lifestyle? And I kind of set a goal of like, okay, this is, and for me also, I do it more long-term. So I think about this is the long-term goal of what I want to be creating. This is how much I want my net worth to be in the next 5 or 10 years, I might say. I'll say, this is how much profit I want to be having in my business. So you can see it's specific. I'll say, this is how much I'd love to have in savings. This is how much I would love to have invested in real estate. So I do think of numbers specifically because I do think with numbers, right? Like that is something that I do believe that we plug into let me say that again, sorry. Yeah, because with numbers, I do believe it's something that we plug into the GPS system of the universe, right? And like, I do think that if I were to just say, I want more money, I want more abundance, then that could mean I want another penny. More money could be 1 penny a year, right? So I like to get specific with money, but I let go of the how. I don't get specific on exactly how that has to come in. For me, I'm just like, I'm an open channel. God, use me. I'll bring in this abundance in whatever way as the path of least resistance. And I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to love on it. And that's how I manifest money. Now, I also focus big time on how I want to feel as I'm manifesting money and how I want to feel with money. So I always think in my business and with money, what is the energy that I want to infuse into my business? So I think about how do I want to feel as I'm creating this thing, right? What is the main feeling that I want to have? How do I want to feel about my business? How do I want to feel about money? So non-specific manifestors tend to be more feeling-oriented people. And you know what? I take that back. I don't know if it's more feeling-oriented people, but you get more inspired and you get more lit up by thinking about the feelings that you want to embody and practicing embodying those feelings, right? Whereas my husband, like I said, who is specific, he said, thinking of the details puts him into that feeling versus me. I can just think about the feeling and practice embodying that feeling. I don't have to think about exact details to get me into that. Okay, so I want to encourage you to check in with yourself and think, well, which one do you think you lean more fully towards? Do you think you're more of a specific manifester or do you think you're a little bit more of a non-specific manifester? And another thing that you could think about is at this time, because I also have had times where I do tend to be more specific, where the vision is more clear, where something drops in that I want to manifest, and I am a bit more specific. And then there's other times where it doesn't feel like I have something super specific that I'm manifesting. So that's when I tend to go more into the feelings that I want to embody and the experience that I want to have. So just check it in with yourself and play with this. I also said you can find this in your human design chart. So here's the thing. I'm actually going to, in the show notes, I'm going to put 2 different places you can pull your human design chart, and you're going to need your birthday, you're going to need the time that you were born, you're going to need the place, like the location that you were born in order to pull the chart. But two of amazing clients of mine that have been in my mastermind and in the money manifestation movement are human design coaches. And I know that you can pull charts from them. So I'm just going to put their websites in the show notes so that you can do that. And once you pull your chart, the way that you can see if you are a specific manifestor is there's going to be, or a specific or non-specific manifestor is you're going to see arrows on the chart, right? There's going to be 4 arrows, one on the left, one on the right. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the 2 arrows on the right side. Look at the bottom arrow on the right. That arrow is what's going to tell you whether you're a specific or a non-specific manifestor. So if that bottom right arrow is pointed right, you're a non-specific or general manifestor. If that arrow is pointed left, you're a more specific or focused manifestor, according to human design. But as always, I always like to say intuition first. Trust what you think you are. That's just kind of fun to see, like, oh, does it validate what I think I am, right? I would go with whatever one feels better, because sometimes you can also sway between the two. Like I said, sometimes maybe you'll have seasons of being more specific, and then maybe you'll have seasons of being more broad and being, knowing where you want to go. Of course, as a manifestation teacher, I'm always going to teach you do want to know where you want to go, right? You want to be crystal clear on what you want, but it's more of like, does it feel good to like get into the details of it? Or is it more fun to be a little more general and let the universe surprise me, but know the feelings that I want to embody and practice embodying those feelings right now? Is that the way that you want to go? Right? So test both of them out, and I would love to hear what works for you. I would love to hear whether you find out that you're a more specific manifestor or if you're a more non-specific manifestor. Now, to test it out, here's a couple things you can do. If you decide, right now in this season, or according to my human design chart, or according to what I think feels good to me, I'm a specific manifestor. Here's what I would do. I would play with getting more specific about your manifestation. So whatever you're calling in, let's say you're calling in a new car, start visualizing the steering wheel and how it feels whenever you grab the steering wheel, and visualize what kind of car it is exactly down to the model. Maybe you start looking online and looking at the exact models and what you want the interior to look like, and what exact price point it's going to be, and whether you have a sunroof or not, right? Like whatever it is, just get into those details and start seeing yourself in that exact car. So just start playing with details of the manifestation, and maybe you do a daily visualization process, or maybe a writing process of the details of your manifestation and what lights you up about it and what you're so excited about. All right. Now, if you're leaning more towards non-specific manifestor, then what you can do is think about, what is your purpose, right? Like a question that I like to ask myself is, why am I here? What am I here to do? What are my gifts? In what ways am I here to serve? Right? Ask yourself that question. What is my soul meant to experience? In what ways am my soul meant to give at this time? Answer those in a more general way and let that guide you. Let that vision and that knowing of what you're meant to do in the world guide you. But maybe you're not really thinking about the details. Maybe you're not going into visualizing specifically, but you're more getting into the feeling. Another thing that you can ask yourself as a non-specific manifestor is, what are the feelings that I want to feel in my business? What are the main feelings I want to feel in my life? And how can I start practicing those feelings now, right? How can I feel those just 10% more today? How can I practice getting into those feelings on a daily basis, one day at a time, right? Those are some fun things that you can do. And also, whenever you're a more, Non-specific manifester, you can still do a vision board. You can see I do it every year. And some of these things definitely specifically manifest. But what I do is I just pull pictures that light me up, that get me into the feeling of what I want. For example, I have a picture of a yacht here. I don't necessarily want to buy a yacht. I don't, because I don't want to maintain a yacht. And I also don't want the environmental impact of a yacht with one person owning it, right? So, like, I don't actually want a yacht, but I love the feeling of being on a boat. It's one of my favorite feelings in the world. Me and Josh were talking about it, and I was like, I love being on the water. I'm a water child. I am. So I put this on there, not because I want this yacht, but I love the way it feels being on a boat out in the ocean or on a lake and just feeling that breeze and feeling like I can see land from the sea. So I put that on there because of the feeling that it gives me, right? So those are things that you can think about whenever you're creating your vision board, or what are the things that just feel good? What are the environments that feel good? Or where would I like to experience? And find visuals that kind of embody that. And then with being a specific manifester, you can do the opposite. You can get into the details of what you want to call in, and the more detailed your vision board is, the better. And also, as a non-specific manifester, I know I'm kind of jumping between the two, but on my vision board, like I said, I put a lot of mantras that I practice, of the kind of purpose of why I'm here. I'll put feelings that I want to embody on there. So I just keep it around more as, this is how I want to feel in my life, right? This is what I want to call in, and this is what I want to feel. So I hope this was helpful, and I can't wait to hear how this is for you, how you do as you practice and experiment with this. As always, would love to hear either in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. You can connect with me on Instagram at JamieBerman_ and let me know. Or leave me a podcast review wherever you're watching/listening to this. I would so beyond appreciate that if you like the podcast. All right, y'all. Thank you so much, and happy manifesting.